Breaking the gray.
This week's episode brought to you by Inside Tracker. For more information, go to insidetracker.com/rebelscientist. Sarah Turner, my favorite person on the planet. How are you?
I'm really good, thanks, Russ. I'm back in the motherland, back in England.
I've heard you were in Amsterdam and now you're home.
That's right. Yes.
Well, welcome back to the UK.
Thank you.
So we are here. We're just chugging along. We're doing great. I think we've met some amazing people. I will say that my Reiki bubble has expanded, and I've been blocking people out. My keto is going well. I'm sleeping because of Molly. I love it. It's great. Molly McLaughlin, but I'm loving it. How are you?
Molly McLaughlin, just to be clear, while you're sleeping. Yeah, that Molly. Yes, I'm very good. And I'm actually very excited to meet our guests today because, as you know, a lot of the people that we have on the podcast are people that I've met in the past from the biohacking scene. But today we have modern day shamans coming on the podcast. And the reason why I'm so excited about that is because I do think that consciousness studies and that kind of thing is a total rebel science and something that does need to be integrated more. So I'm very keen to talk to Gary and Rob and see what they have to say about that.
Same here. I see them. How are you guys doing?
Wonderful as usual.
Excellent. Yes.
Good. Well, welcome to the podcast. Introduce yourself. We'd love to hear who you are, your names, maybe all of it.
How long do you have?
Half an hour.
Half an hour.
So keep it short.
So we are the Journeyman Collective, and we guide visionaries through luxurious shamanic journeys. And a little bit about us. I come from a corporate background, and for the last 15 years, probably going on more than that, I've been working in the metaphysical world as well, and left the corporate world. And I bring both the metaphysical world and the corporate world into our business.
I actually come back from a theater background. I moved to England and went to theater school for a number of years and stayed there and lived there and worked there. And in that time, I discovered a program called the Alexander Technique, a mind-body conscious awareness training. And I just took to it like a horse to water. It was perfect. And I understood it. And eventually when I moved back to Canada, Vancouver, they opened up a school here, and I ended up going back to school for 3 years to become a certified teacher. So I've been teaching the Alexander Technique for about 18 years, but I've been with the program about 30 years. So we incorporate that a lot into our work. Also, the use of psilocybin is a vitally important part of our work and the journey process.
Right, very cool. Yeah, I've heard of the Alexander Technique. I didn't realize that you had studied that so much. That's about posture, one of the elements. I'm sure there's a lot of it, but that's really what it's more famous for.
It's getting you more connected to self, finding out how unconscious we are responding to the world, and how can I get conscious about responding to the world other than through habitual response mechanism, immediate response. So as we work with deeply, as we take the time to teach you or to guide you to get you to stop, come into heart, breathe, and then respond. It comes much quicker with time, but at the beginning you need to take the time to practice.
Right, and you do that through body work, somatic.
It's hands-on work, and it's almost mind-to-mind work in a way. You're listening and watching the client, and seeing how they respond and awakening their response mechanism.
Right.
I think we should do this for the next 10 minutes. Just sit here and stare at each other, not say a word. I'm kidding. I find that technique, and I have never practiced the technique. It sounds like I've danced around it, but very helpful in the corporate environment of not immediately reacting and taking your time to respond. And how do you couple it with like an active listening, or is it like, I would think that active listening is part of that too, where if you're not ready to react, you're listening and you're responding because you're listening actually.
It's because what we'll work with is getting you into the present moment.
Yeah.
Listening, can you actually hear what's happening in the room, or are you in your head, thinking about your answer other than actually listening to what has been spoken to you, so you're able to respond in a more natural flowing state.
Right, yeah. Well, that's cool. And like I say, I actually had thought that was something completely different. I had thought the Alexander technique was more about, because my mum always used to say to me, I'm going to send you to the Alexander technique because you're not sitting up straight, So I totally had missed that. But I think that's what I'm learning with a lot of the things, because this is Rebel Scientist, and I'm coming from a science background, and a lot of the things that are talked about, this kind of thing is missed off. The whole, like you say, the metaphysics, the consciousness piece, that is missing from a lot of health practices. Mm-hmm. So it's very cool to see that being brought in, and it's something that I haven't practiced, and that's why it's great. Like Russ said, we talked about Reiki last week, which is something way out of my comfort zone, and other things like that. Gary, you said just when you introduced yourself that you're into metaphysics. That's quite a broad term. I wonder if you could narrow that down a bit and explain what kind of metaphysics are you into?
So it would be about bringing universal laws that govern all of creation, and bringing that into not just a mental understanding of it, but when you come on a journey with us, we allow you to experience those laws, and we guide you to experience those laws, so that you not only have a mental construct of it, but you have a deep visceral understanding, a heart knowing that you can bring into the boardroom, and you can actually allow yourself to hear someone, listen to them, feel their energy, open up your awareness to actually feel their energy, process it. And you're not only processing their words, you're processing their energy along with their words. So we know that so much of what we speak of is in the unspoken. So it's opening and expanding one's awareness to those metaphysical laws, so that you can create the highest form of intelligence.
But what are what laws are you talking about? You maybe need to, for someone who's not used to the language, what are the universal laws?
So there are many, and there are also new laws that are coming through us as well. So one simple one is the law of vibration. Every single thing that is in existence, that's in front of you, that's your laptop's made out of it, your microphone's made out of it, it's a cycles per second. It's a hertz. It doesn't hurt. It's a hertz, it's a frequency, and depending on what your being is vibrating at, that's what is going to construct your reality. That's what's going to construct your business. And so that's one of the many laws.
Do you mind if we stop on that law real quick? And only because I've been listening to every single one of our guests on our podcast, and I've been listening to Sarah. We've been doing this for a while now. And that is actually something that has come up so often. And the electrical vibration, or the current, we just met with a Reiki healer a few weeks ago. She talked about passing that energy on to people. What are we talking about here? Is it the fact that, Sarah told me once that there's vibration in your food that comes from the sunlight. So what is that in that part of it? When you teach the vibration piece of that law, do we have to coexist with it? Is there a battle we're having with that vibration? I'm curious about that one.
There's only a battle if you want it. So you can choose to live in harmony with it and take an active participation in cleansing and clearing your energy on a daily basis through intention. And again,
is that meditation? Is that meditation? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and meditation, there's various forms of it. There's the actual piece of the Alexander technique, whereby you're witnessing, whereby you may have pain or tension in your body. That is an example of you restricting the flow of the universe through you. Like, we're 99.99% space. The matter that we are is only a small 0.001%. So when we actually have an awareness of what that matter is doing, then we can use those cues to actually instruct our daily life.
Okay, is that not really that quantum physics, rather than metaphysics? Because quantum physics tells us that we are vibration and oscillation. So what's the difference between what you're saying there and quantum physics?
I think it's taking it into the spiritual realm.
Right. Okay.
So it's a lot of the mystical aspect of what is mystical. The mystical is simply the unknown, what we can't see with our physical eyes. It's an inner seeing, and it's an inner seeing of our being.
Okay. And so I'm interested, where do you get that component from? You know, do you follow any specific spiritual path, or is it just something that came to you?
I think a lot of it was we were awakened during our journey process when we met with our shaman, and we went on a personal journey individually. And a lot of it I can say to you is like, I woke up, you could say, yeah, I did wake up even more, that I said to my shaman, I was like, we are frequency and vibration. And he says, well, explain to me, what do you mean? I said, well, there was a boat that kept going by in front of the house that I was at, and I could sense the boat coming prior to it was in front of the house. I could feel its vibration. I could hear the sound. And I thought, well, if I can sense that, it's like, most people can't. Most people ignore it. They can't hear. They're not tapped in, turned on, and tuned in. It's like to say, whoa, if I can feel that, what else is happening throughout the world? That ripple effect, was like, I thought it was like all explosions. It's just one explosion just doesn't happen and it's done. It ripples throughout the world, and we are all affected. Even if we don't sense it right now, it vibrates through our feet and into our being. So if there's construction or destruction or war, all those explosive things that are going on that are destructive, it's going to be destructive on you. Even if you don't think it is, it shows up. And I think through the journey process, we come across a lot of this, stuck energy. And this is where we come in and free that energy up and bring awareness to you. It's like they'll wake up and say, I know my purpose.
Gary,
and this is our purpose. This is what we're here for.
Gary, I have a question there, and this is I've listened to our podcast back, and I always realize I always bring it back to me, and I say I a lot. So I'm going to bring it back to me and say I a lot, and only because I'm just trying to relate here. It is you talk about that moment when you realized, when you woke up, and I've had a moment like that in my life where I was like, oh my God, like this is incredible. I can feel and see things I've never seen before just by standing here and staring at a tree or staring at the ocean. For you, what was that? And for both of you, what was that? What was that moment when you woke up? What caused it, and what happened afterwards?
Well, it had to be on the journey. Is like I thought I was awake, with Alexander, the direction, the whole thing is like, oh, I'm aware. It's like, no, I was just touching awareness. And when I went on the journey, and within like 15 minutes after digesting the psilocybin and sitting with my shaman and doing the work, I woke up, I said, we're in the matrix. My eyes were still open as I could see clearly what was happening around me and the movement and the connectivity. And then from there, I just sensed into a lot more into like 5 hours of this journey process. With Rob, I'm not where he is like.
For me, again, like I had been doing the work, the metaphysical work, working with different teachers from various backgrounds. And I went on my very first shamanic journey, and I had experimented with plant medicine previously in university and whatnot. And when I met the medicine with intention and respect, it blew me out of the water because I was actually able to go so much deeper within self and connect more deeply with self. Mm-hmm. And I also had someone guiding me through that process, both mind to mind, in my physical presence, soul to soul, however you want to say it, universe to universe, even so. And I went on that journey. A lot was shown to me. I could fill your ears for about 10 hours talking about that very first journey. And I came back from that journey, and I sat with myself, and I sat in silence in our home, and I was sitting in silence, and I was shown that this is what Gary and I are to do. And so I called our shaman that we had been working with, and I said, this is what you are to do. And he's like, no, I don't train people. I only facilitate. And I was like, no, you do. I saw it. And most of what I see on the inner plane takes place on the outer plane. And so I asked him to open up to a possibility. He did. And the rest is history.
And that's when you started doing the journeys that you do and taking people. Trained you then in, presumably you facilitate the plant medicine. Maybe you can tell us a bit about that, like which ones you use and how to do that, because I know that's something that maybe needs a bit of care when people are.
Yeah, it's always to be guided when you meet the medicine with respect and intention. It changes the inner playing field. And when you come on a journey with us, it's not just running through the forest. It's not in a shack. It's a luxurious process, because it's a divine process that you get to experience. So there's times where it's not comfortable. So allow the physical body to be comfortable and super comfortable. And so we facilitate those journeys with psilocybin, otherwise known as magic mushrooms. Yeah. And it's a plant medicine, grows in the forest. It was put here by Mother Nature. And we guide people into stillness. And we just allow people to go very deep within self. And some people will come in and they will be still as still can be for like 5-6 hours, if not more. And we're with you from the time that you land into our presence to the time that you leave. You sleep on your own. That's not included in the service. Kidding. Yeah, we're with you from the time that you arrive to the time that you leave. And that's the personalized aspect.
We truly believe you need to be taken care of, because it is a journey, and it's your personal journey. It's all about you, and that's all we focus on is you. So we do very small groups when we do a journey process. There's either a single person who's solo, or there's a couple, or maybe 2 partners that work together, or whatever, team of 2, and then maybe a team of 3 or 4 people maximum. And then we just devote our whole time to you for that, for the 4 days that you're with us. There's, just to get a little bit more, there's prior to the journey, we would do a 4-week intensive preparatory work for the journey process. You come see us for 4 days. And then after that, 4 weeks would be the integration, which is vitally important. You need to integrate what you've been taught, shown, and going to learn to bring with you forward, because our habits are so strong. And you want to break those old habits, create the new ones you've seen to move forward in a clearer path.
Yeah, and what do you find from the people that you've taken on these journeys? I mean, what kind of reports do you have, and do you follow up with people afterwards?
Oh, definitely, yeah. We still stay in contact with all of our people,
right.
And what do we find? Again, that could take about 12 hours.
Keep it short.
Yeah. We find that people really let go of the old baggage.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's the clearing of the old, there's the opening up to the new, and those that really embody the mystical experience that they were shown, those are the people that really consciously go back into their life and create the life that they truly want. And their life is typically in a great state, and it's about bringing it to that next level. It's upgrading so that it's even better. And some examples would be, we worked with a doctor who lived in the Midwest, and then he eventually decided that he wanted to leave the Midwest and go to the coast, and he did. He bought his dream home, and he started his own center. And so he's in that process, and he did it by trusting his heart intelligence. And there was that strong logical side, because as a doctor, you're going to be trained in the knowledge, in the mental, training those mental programs. And for him, he was able to actually let go and bridge the two worlds, so that there's the heart intelligence merged with the mental knowing aspect.
And my main question, I suppose, is why do you think people need plant medicines or need to be walking through and connected? You know, if we are all part of the universal energy, you know, why do we need to be guided, or what is this plant medicine bringing us that we don't already have?
It helps you decompose the old programming inherited from our parents, from our grandparents, from our great-great-grandparents. The generational traumas that we don't even know that are there will show up. And they're there because we all have generational trauma from war. No matter what no matter how far you go back, every single one of us is carrying the energy of war. And we don't even know it. It's unconscious. So it's about bringing those energies up through and allowing someone to guide you through that process, so that we can open up what I call your quantum window, and help you clear the energy that's stuck in your system. And it'll show up in various ways in your relationships, in your business. And so we help you clear that out so that there's space within you, and every single person on the planet could benefit from this. And it allows you to actually open your awareness to the unseen.
Right. Why do you think it's a little bit fringe then? Because, you know, if it's something that everybody needs, and yet, you know, most of the population are not focusing that way. Most of the population are not taking these inner journeys or doing the, you know, plant medicines.
Most people want to be told what to do. Most people will bow down and hand over their freedom, hand over their purpose, just to get on by in their life. And they haven't touched that inner aspect of themselves. And me coming from a science background, from a corporate world as well, I think I always sensed there was more. And that's the thing, there's always more. There's another level. Every single journey that you come on with us, there's another level. And it's simply people don't want to look at themselves. It's easier to point outside of self.
Is it? I'm curious about the journey. I've never experienced it. I'm actually scared shitless to do it. because I don't want to deal with myself.
So was I.
And good. I mean, I think that's it's super interesting to know that, because I think fear is an interesting topic. But when you get there and you are opened up, and let's say now you're on your 5th, 6th, 7th, are you building on top of something? The fear goes away, and does that allow you to open yourself up more? I'm curious about that. Or is it just, because I know lots of friends that I have that were, when I was in my 20s, that did lots of mushrooms and they just love to just get high, versus experiencing it in a way where it's a journey.
Yeah. So those people, it's great. If that's what you want to do, you're going to go on a trip, and that's what people like to do. And it's like, that doesn't really bring you back to you, really. It's like, I saw these wonderful things and lovely, beautiful, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, but how are you going to use that moving forward in your life? It's like, what was the purpose behind it? So as Rob was saying, and me believe there's more to what's going on in my life. We all get stuck. And you talk about, all of us have friends who tell the same story over and over and over again. My little scenario is, listen, how's that working out for you? Because I've heard that story 3 or 4 times, and it really isn't moving you forward. It's pulling you back. And the universe wants you to move forward, because that's how life is to move forward, and grow. And my hair is standing on end, so I know something's right here. And it's just like, I say, take a record that you're telling me the story. Imagine the record, the same story, and it keeps skipping over and over and over and over. Take that record, throw it against the wall, and break it. It's time to write or record a new album. So that's what it is. Part of the journey is discovering those stories that we're holding on to, that it's time to let them go, because they're no longer serving you moving forward in your life. And they're
So like an old cassette tape, we're just going to record over our generational trauma. Can we?
No, we acknowledge it, and we release it, and we let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole idea is like, it's almost a ceremony. You have to mourn whatever the story that you're telling, or the trauma that you're telling that you've taken with you, is like, I can let it go. It's okay to release that. And when you let it go, the heart opens up, the body breathes more, there's more flow and energy, and you're coming more alignment with, we'll call it source, or whoever you want to call higher up, your higher self, we would say. You're getting connected to your higher self, and that's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
And the shaman, sorry, go ahead.
I'm just going to just take a quick second there to talk about the fear. We have no idea what anyone is ever going to experience on a journey with us. And when you come through a journey with us, we have no idea what you're going to see, what you're going to encounter, how many tears you're going to shed, how many laughs you're going to have,
how many boxes of Kleenex.
However, we know that we can lovingly care for people through that process, and we can handle anything and everything, because we've seen it all. And one of the things is that the fear is just the fear. And I think that's what happens, is people recognize that it's like, oh, it's just fear. It's just all I've been doing. Fear is just a suppression of my soulful expression that I've come into this lifetime with, that I've been stopping myself from expressing it the way that it wants to come out.
And as shaman, then you're guiding people through that at their own pace, and kind of letting them be, and you got to guide them through that process.
Yes, definitely. We're there. We're almost there, holding your hands. We're in the room with you right from the beginning until right to go to bed or after dinner or whatever. It's like we never leave the room, and we're consciously aware of what's going on at all times.
Mm-hmm. And we tap into your energy. We tap into your mind, because when people go on a plant medicine journey or a trip on their own, what happens is you'll get stuck in a loop for 4 or 5 hours, and people will say, oh my God, that was horrible, that was a bad trip. It's like, yeah, because you didn't have the guidance. And when you have the guidance there, we can help you. Again, a lot of it's in silence. We do play music as well. We don't create the music. We just play through iTunes.
There's no singing, dancing, chanting, rattles, feathers, whatever.
I'd love if you could share that playlist. Or if it's okay.
That would cost you. But it's
come on a journey, you'll be able to hear it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a sacred process. It honors your highest potential, and that's what it comes down to. We're there to help you to connect more deeply into self, to truly honor your highest potential that you're here for, and to truly remember. And that's another one of the laws, is the law of remembering.
Yeah.
That we have all come into this life and we've just forgotten.
Well, oh, sorry, Russ, you go.
No, go.
Well, I was just going to ask, what about people who can't go on the journey? You know, I was going to ask, what tips have you got for people, you know, maybe our listeners, or maybe even Russ and I, you know, we do our challenge, you know, what advice do you have for people that they can maybe get in touch with what you're talking about without having to, you know, do these journeys, which people might not be able to do, and do the psilocybin? You know, what can people do now?
Do you want your 7-day challenge now? And then your listeners
Sure,
can listen?
Go.
Yeah, let's go.
So we've thought about it, and this is what we've come up with. It's part of our process too. So we feel this is a thing that you can do on your own.
So it's about, so the context of this is that society, the whole entire planet, is so freaking busy, thinking all the time, thinking about what's next, thinking, oh my God, I have to go pick up the groceries, and I have to go pick up the kids, and I'm not even here, I'm not even present, I'm worrying about the future that hasn't even happened yet. And because of that, we have ignored the highest intelligence within our being, which is our heart intelligence. And it has everything that you'll ever need. And so our challenge is, throughout the next 7 days, anytime that you're changing a direction in your day, give yourself some time, and this is up to you to find out how much time you need to stop, breathe, and come into your heart. Switch the energy, because most of the time we're sitting here looking up. We're looking up because our energy is up in our head, or in those conscious or unconscious loops, those programmings. So it's stop, breathe, come into heart, and just allow yourself to be in that space so the mental chatter can stop, and then go about the next thing you're going to take on. And then do it again the next time that you're going to change direction. Stop, breathe, come into heart. And when you actually let go of the control, that's what it is. We're so fearful of letting go of control when no one has any control. If we just tap into the heart field, that magnetic field of our heart, everything will work out perfectly for us. The perfect people, the perfect places, the perfect things will drop in. And I'm not saying that you do nothing. Lazy law of attraction people. It's about actually taking that conscious action, and you're pulled by your heart. You're pulled by that infinite intelligence that every single one of us is connected to, but we've become disconnected from it.
So the big thing is, to keep it simple, is think with the heart, love with the mind. That helps you, drops you into your heart, so you can come back and communicate through your heart.
You just blew up Valentine's Day for so many people. Now we got to change the heart to a brain, and the whole thing gets messed up. But this is all doable stuff, right? Mm-hmm. I think, and it's practice, and it's practice and practice and practice. I think the two of us are game to doing this. We've done some sort of this practice in the past. I think, as you advance through and you have the folks that you work with coming through, what are some tips you give them as they go back to their real life journey obviously this is one, but they've been through a journey with you. What are some tips that you give them now that they have seen something? What are some tips you leave them with so they can do this on their own? Because learning and understanding is part of it, but what's the practice piece that you can do on your own? Because you just shared a great one. Are there others though that you share with them that they can practice on their own?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is a big one. It's about remembering. So we all have traumas and dramas in our life, and we can, as Gary said, we can talk about those and lament about those endlessly, which then just brings more of that into our life. Or we can remember that which we were shown in the journey and allow that to be a touchstone, so that anytime that you get into what I call head fuckery mode, where when you're in your head too much, it's allowing yourself to remember back into the journey, remember that which you were seeing. And there are things that I'm still integrating into my life from my very first journey. And I'll go back to them, I'll remember, and I'll ask, what am I to learn? How am I to integrate this into my life? How am I to integrate this into my business, into our business, and help more people? And so it's about grounding the mystical into your everyday life.
Are there other, besides the, you talk about the psilocybins, and are there other types of, like, what would be some of the ranges there too? So, is ayahuasca one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ayahuasca is another medicine that you could go on a journey with. A lot of it's done around the world. You don't need to go to Peru or Costa Rica to do it, but a lot of people do take that journey. And it also depends, what is your calling? It comes down to, it's like, is this what I need to do? Do I need to go to the forest and do this process of a ceremony, which can be very aggressive and pretty messy from what I hear, and sometimes pretty clear. We truly believe in our practice.
Yeah, I think you need more than tissue. You might need more than tissues for ayahuasca.
Yeah, well, I wasn't going to go there, but okay, maybe your listeners can elaborate. They probably do a little research on what actually happens during an ayahuasca journey. But there's a number of other medicines out there, modalities to go through. We believe that psilocybin is a great place and a
great teacher.
A great teacher with the medicine.
And you don't need a plant medicine journey passport, in that you don't need to go out there and try every single one of them so that you have your sash with your badges of like, look what I did.
Yeah.
I truly believe, like, with psilocybin, you can work with that medicine once, twice a year, maybe once in your life, and get enough from that so that you can not use the teacher, but you can work with the teacher so that you're actually helping the planet, you're actually helping humanity. And that's the big kicker, that you don't have to go and try every single plant medicine under the sun. And there's like an ethical component of it as well too. So and a responsibility piece of, like, with ayahuasca, they're using 2 different plants for that process. So with the gain in popularity, they're going to be harvesting that more and more. So with mushrooms, they grow in the forest and quite abundantly. And so it's, you don't need a plant medicine passport.
And maybe just a quick philosophy on microdosing then. So how do you feel about that?
It's funny, we were just talking about that this morning.
Mm-hmm. So microdose, I would first ask you, what is your intention? My quick snippet would be microdose equals micro shift. So if you want transformation, give yourself that time to set aside 3 or 4 days of your life to allow yourself to go in deep, and allow yourself that time to transform. Microdosing does work. Again, it's what is your intention? Is it for self, or is it for the greater good?
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for that. I mean, thank you for the challenge and thank you for bringing that to us. I mean, it is very fascinating. And I think, like I say, this whole consciousness piece does need to be out there more. And you know, I understand what you're saying. People are totally busy in their lives and they find reasons not to do these things. And one of them, as you know, Russ pointed out, you know, it's a bit scary to stop because you don't know what's on the other side of that stop. But thank you for being guests. We will do the challenge, so we will come back and we'll let you know how we got on. And Russ and I will do a little talk about it. But that's super cool, and it was super cool to meet you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So, Robin, Gary, you're at the Journeymen Collective, and your website is the Journeymen Collective.
Correct.
Yeah.
Any Instagram, Twitter, anything like that? We'll put everything up on our blog. But any other kind of quick ways to get you?
Yeah, we do have an Instagram as well. Again, the Journeymen.
Same name.
Okay.
Original.
They can find you at the Journeymen. Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you both so much, and really, really great to meet you. And thanks for entering our life and our little rebel scientist world.
This is brilliant. Thank you, Russ and Sarah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Sarah, I'm in my body right now. I'm right by my heart. I can hear it beating.
Yeah.
I spent the time. I did it. I spent the time to get out of my head. I took my busy day and I said, I'm going to figure out the right intention and I'm going to get closer to my heart. And guess what? I now have to go take blood pressure medicine every single day because I listen to my heart. Because I have high blood pressure. How great is that? Thank you, modern shaman, for pointing that out to me.
Now you're totally aware of it because you're listening to it every day.
I would have never known. But now I know.
Are you a shaman? Have you progressed to head shaman yet?
No, not yet, but I will. We will join them on their journey, and we'll have our own journey when you finally get to visit the United States in 2023, 2024, when our politicians can get their acts together to figure this thing out. How do you feel about this? How did you do with this exercise?
Well, weren't they such lovely guys? Very gentle. I've been kind of stopping in my day, bringing in that gentle energy, taking a breath. Yeah. I must admit, I'm more of a kind of on the go all the time. So it is cool to have that reminder to just stop and take a breath. And as we heard from Warrior Woman, breathing is crucially important. It's something that we take for granted. Yeah. So I think it is cool, stop, do some deep breathing, take a breath, be where you are, it's a good lesson. So all cool.
Yeah. It's important. We talked to, Christy about it as well on the Reiki side. It's, breathing is the reset. I watch a lot of sports, as you probably can imagine. And I watch every baseball player who goes up to bat and every baseball player who's pitching. And the way they reset themselves is they take a deep breath every single time. And it probably is a great reset for your body to say, I'm going to breathe in, I'm going to breathe out. And it takes you out of your head space and puts you into your body space.
Yeah, it probably has a few different functions, doesn't it? Because I did the Wim Hof breathing as well with Wim Hof. And there he's like getting you into a different mental state, preparing you for what you're going to do. You're mentally steeling yourself in that case. The modern shamans have got a different take. They want you to be in the now. It's very Eckhart Tolle.
Right.
Yeah.
I like it.
All of the things.
It.
I like it. A lot of people they're very simple.
Yeah, and very kind. Rob and Gary were very kind for giving us their time, and what they're doing is it's for other people, right? It's the thing that I always love about meeting your friends and new friends is the compassion they have for others. Is some people are doing this for money. Let's be honest. Some people are building a business off of this, and some people are doing it because they want to help people. And there's no shame in helping people. Like that's why we're all here, right? We are one.
Well, no shame in making money either. I mean, you've got to.
Yeah.
You need to look after yourself, and so that you can be there to look after other people. So yeah, I thought they were good. I mean, actually, what they're doing is a little bit more for a different part of society. You know, it's just where you're at. You choose things you want. I don't think everybody's going to be able to be going off and doing the modern journey, but everybody can do the breathing. You know, everyone can be in an hour. Everyone can do that. So yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of a little bit of maybe a little bit of an LA Hollywood version of the Shaman, but it's cool. They were just very lovely people.
Yeah, you know, making money doing something you love and you're helping people. Exactly. All day long. I'll do that all day long. I can't say every job I've ever had has been to help people. I'll tell you that. Exactly. And I enjoyed it. I think breathing is incredibly important in my life. I think meditation. If I don't breathe, listen, if I'm not breathing, I'm not living. I ain't breathing, I ain't living. Rob and Gary are great. Thank you so much. And thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Robbie and Gary.
The Rebel Scientist Podcast is a Breaking the Gray production, created by Russ Eisenman and Paul Wood, hosted by Sarah Turner, music and sound editing by Logan Shea. For more information and other fantastic podcasts, visit breakingthegray.com. That's gray with an E, breakingthegray.com. Breaking the Gray.